calculating 3 by 3 by minors. Now here's what the important part is. If I'm taking a look, and this is true of any matrix or any determinant, is that behind these numbers, which we call elements, there is a sign. And what that tells me, because you notice there's the word minor, and we're going to talk about what a minor is that it tells me whether I add or subtract that minor. Because remember, if we're doing a 2 by 2, it's down minus up. We don't have to worry about whether or not we're adding or subtracting. The rule tells us that. But we can actually go through and choose any row or any column and what we call to expand or calculate out using minors a particular determinant. Now, you start in the upper right-hand corner or upper left-hand corner, it is always plus. And then it alternates. That means I would add the minor associated with this element. If that's a minus, I would subtract the minor associated with this element. Add the minor associated with this element. Subtract, add, subtract, add, subtract, add. You start in the left upper left-hand corner, you go through, and it alternates signs. And that tells you if you're doing a minor, you will add or subtract the minor associated with that element. So let's talk about what a minor is. The minor of A sub 1, 1. What you do is you're going to, and I'm going to do it lightly with pencil, I am going to cross out the row A sub 1, 1 is in. I'm going to cross out the column A sub 1, 1 is in. What is left over is the minor. It is a determinant. It's A22, A23, A32, A33. That is A11's minor. Cross out the row and the column. A11 is what's left of it is its minor. Minor's a 2 by 2. That can be calculated fairly easily. Now, what is the minor? And I'm going to kind of erase this thing right here, and that's why I wanted to do it in pencil. What is the minor of A32? Minor of A32 that says that's this guy right here. And by the way, that says with the minus above it, you're going to subtract that minor, or the value associated with that minor. So I cross out the column A32 is in. I cross out the row A32 is in. His minor will be A11, A21, A13, A23. See how minors work? So if I wanted to calculate out the value of this determinant, and by the way, if you were writing a computer program that did this, this is how you would do it. You essentially would set up something in general and then figure out a way then of picking out all of those elements and then putting it into an arithmetic calculation form. And I just pick a row or a column, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand on column 1. So I'm going to use column 1. Now, the column I normally pick to use is the one with the maximum number of zeros, maximum number of ones, minimum number of minuses. I look for numbers that are going to be nice and clean. I pick that column or that row. Now what this says is I'm going to add the minor associated with A11, subtract the minor associated with A21, add the minor associated with A31. So it's going to be A11 times his minor, subtract A21 times his minor, add A31 times his minor. Now you're going to say, why in the world do you do this? Well, here's the thing. I'm going to also show you a shorthand way of doing 3 by 3s. But it only works for 3 by 3s. You get anything larger and you get a 4 by 4, this is your life. You have to do it by hand. There's no option. Has to be done by minors. So the easiest place to learn how to do it by minors is by something which is smaller than what you are going to run into. If I have a 3 by 3, I use a short way. But what's the minor of A11? Well, the minor of A11 is I cross out the row A11 is in, the column A11 is in, and what's left is A22, A23, A32, A33. The minor of A21, I cross out the row A21 is in, the column A21 is in, and then what's left is A12, A13, A32, A33. And then for A31, I cross out the row A31 is in, the column A31 is in, and on what's left is A12, A13, A22, A23. And then do we know how to calculate 2 by 2s fairly easily? Yeah. And that's what happens. A 4 by 4, and this is why it was so nasty, and remember, I did this over and over again in physics without having a calculator that will do it for me, is that if I had a 4 by 4, a 4 by 4 would go down to a series of 3 by 3s, just like this. Then would go, each 3 by 3 would be a series of 2 by 2s, and then until I could actually do the calculation. So can you imagine how big a page I had to do one problem? And it was normal for me to do 5 by 5s. Multiple times. So then that's when we pick up our calculator, go, love our calculator. God, we love the calculator.